twisted through 7 suns of gold, and the gypsy was insisting that his story.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of 2022. I'm Veronica Valley.
And I'm Chip Summers.
How you doing, Chip?
I'm doing well. I've had a bad couple of weeks, as we get sometimes, with a couple of friends have died, but it's been a bad couple of weeks. But that happens in life, I'm afraid, and it's much as I would love my recovery to have been perfect in all ways, sometimes life throws stuff at us, and fortunately, I've got friends and support systems that get me through difficult times like that, and it's been good. But it's not been good. The support's been fantastic, but it's been
the
difficult.
support. Yeah. It's just such a shock, isn't it, when that happens? And
I mean, 2 really close friends in 4 days was a bit of a heavy blow, I have to say.
Gosh, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, this is the episode that we do at the end of every year. It's the things that changed our lives. And we talk about things that have happened, events, books we've read, shows we've seen, just things that have kind of stood out to us. And we would love to hear what has changed your life this year. So there'll be a post on Instagram and Facebook. And we would love to hear, what stuck out for you this year? What changed your life this year? We also know that we're going into can be quite a difficult time of year for people, this holiday season, as we say in America, where there's lots of drinking. And it's not just the drinking is a big part of it. All rules are off in December in England, certainly around drinking, but also being around family. And also, I think the messaging of the holiday season, all these, the adverts of, perfect Christmas days and all of that kind of stuff. And if you find this time of year to be a struggle, we are offering some free workshops over the Christmas season through December. They start on December. When this goes out, it started already, but you can sign up anytime. If you just go to soberful.com, you can sign up. And then we have about 7 different support workshops on how to deal with family, how to stay sober when everyone else is drinking, all of that kind of stuff. So there'll be community and support just to kind of get you through what can be a challenging time. So if you feel that you need a bit of extra just help and community and connection tools, that kind of stuff, sign up and you're welcome to join anytime. And these workshops run right till the end of December.
The advertising is amazing for Christmas. Every single happy family get together is happy and joyous, and everybody's getting on. Food's wonderful. It's
so
just
happy to see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
It's not reality at all. I mean, it's
not
just
at
so
all.
far from
not
reality.
At all. No, not at
I mean,
all.
they've kind of updated it like you would have a mixed race family and a gay couple and blah, blah, blah. But it's like everyone's just getting on really well.
Everybody's, it's harmony and peace. Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a myth. Yeah.
So this is pretty much our Christmas tradition. And Chip loves a Christmas tradition.
Oh,
loves it.
Love Christmas, which is a lie. I do not like Christmas. I think it's Heidi. I'm lucky that Heidi is as equally despicable, despises his Christmas as much as I do. Don't ever send us a Christmas card, because we will just look at it, see who it's from, tear it up, put it in the bin. So please don't waste your money sending us Christmas cards. We appreciate the thought, but it's not going to be. You can send me a text, that would be just as good, and cheaper. No, we don't do Christmas. We have cut down our Christmas. We don't do any Christmas meal or anything at all. And I think last year we had cheese on toast.
We don't.
Potato. Oh, we don't do that yet?
At the end of the episode, we reveal. It's the big reveal
it is
of
planned.
what Chip and Heidi have for Christmas dinner.
Okay, well, it is planned,
Yeah. So at the end, we will reveal exactly what that is, because the nation, if not the world.
The nation is waiting. Yeah.
Well, this is a global podcast. The world waits with bated breath to find out the anti-Christmas dinner.
I can imagine why. I can understand why. Yeah.
So, all right, let's go into things that changed our lives this year. My two biggest things were, and they were pretty significant for me. I mean, the first is really fully being in the perimenopause, which is like a whole, as a woman, you have to deal with a lot with your body. You really do. Like from when you go into puberty and then all the way through not wanting to be pregnant and then trying to get pregnant, can't get pregnant, hormones, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm in the final stages of, what women's bodies can do. And it's been tough at times, just having I was waking up with panic attacks in the middle of the night, and I haven't had a panic attack since my first year of sobriety. And it was really like, whoa, what is happening here? Like, this is like, I'm all right. Like, there's nothing going on in my life. And these are all symptoms of the perimenopause. So getting the right support and help with that has been really, really helpful. Exercise is crucial, and some supplements, and just also kind of taking care of, being aware of, not pushing myself too much and listening to my body and all of that kind of stuff. What I'll say, Chip, is when I was working in treatment in my 30s, I never fully appreciated, when I was working in rehab, I never really fully appreciated what hormonal changes can do to women, and particularly in early sobriety. For so long, it's been very much, you don't talk about it. It's the curse. You just get on with it. Yeah. And it's really, for some women, particularly, I have now realized, menopausal women, really bloody hard. And so it's a whole other level of hard on top of getting sober as well. And I have a much better appreciation of that now.
Yeah, and it's not just the menopause. I mean, it's the menstrual cycle as well. It's also can be really difficult for people, and for a lot of women, it's like 25% of your life.
Yeah,
is spent sort of really under the influence of extremely heavy hormones flying around your body, and very difficult to deal with. Yeah,
it is 25% of.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, I wouldn't for a second try to equate. I'm going through, I guess, what a lot of men go through, which is prostate problems in old age, and I don't know what they say. All men die with prostate problems, but not all of them die of it. And I was in hospital this year with prostate problems, which were caught in time, thank goodness. And but yeah, I mean, that is kind of dealt with, whereas that whole kind of menstrual thing is something that lives with women, every month, every year of their life. It's and can be incredibly disorientating. And I suppose one observation I've made is that very few women seem to keep a clear diary of when their cycle is due, and they often get ambushed by it.
Yeah.
And they're suddenly feeling really odd, and they suddenly look on their whatever it is app they're using, if they're using one, and they go, "Oh God, yeah, of course, yeah, that's what's happening." And then it doesn't make it any easier to handle. It doesn't make the hormones go away, but it just kind of give you a little bit of, okay, this is what's happening. This is why I'm feeling like I am. And but I am a little bit surprised how few women keep a clear sort of record of that, and are often ambushed by it. Yeah.
And that's what's really helped me, actually. There's an app called Balance. It's by a British OBGYN. And because the other thing that I found, and this started about a year and a half ago, PMS is when you feel like short-tempered and a bit, all of this. Well, this was a whole new level. Like, I had this, 2 days before my period, I would feel complete and utter despair. Like everything is awful and it's never going to get better. And also rage, angry. And when you know that, just knowing what's happening and being able to track that helped enormously.
Yeah.
In that, because you can act on those things. It's, I would have thoughts like, I'm closing Soberful, I'm not doing anything, I'm just gonna, just really. Yeah. And then 3 or 4 days later, I'm like, oh, And so just knowing that and being really gentle on yourself has been really, really helpful. So I'm learning a lot about it. And I want to say as well, I think I'm Generation X, and I think Generation X is the first generation that's talking about this, because finally women like Davina McCall, Meg Matthews, there's some people in the USA, can't think of any come to mind, but women my age are now finally talking about it. And it was never talked about. Like, it just wasn't mentioned. People, and that's really helpful, because it's a really massive thing that every woman goes through.
And it's so important for women to learn their particular responses to it, because it's a very individualized thing. It's not as if everybody gets that 2 days of rage and then whatever. It manifests itself in many different ways. Some people get very depressed. Some people just breeze through it and they don't even, oh, really? I didn't know, and but it's a very individual response that people have. It's not as if, oh, well, this is what's going to happen on day one. You're going to do like this. And it's very, very individual.
Yeah.
Which
and then so the other big thing that happened for me that really was life-changing, and I've thought about it so much. So I was home in the summer, and it was the first trip home with my kids since COVID. So it's the first time my mum had seen my kids since late 2019. And, that's my mum's world, is her grandchildren. And we live in a different country. And I wanted to make that as, we went for about a month, spend as much time with her as possible. And I've talked before on the podcast about how difficult our relationship has been my entire life. I left home at 16 years old because I couldn't bear living with my mother. It's been a very, very difficult relationship. I mean, you helped me with that when I first, I was 18 months sober, and you said to me about having boundaries with parents. And I was like, ugh. So my mother hasn't changed. I've worked really hard on myself, and we now have a decent relationship. I genuinely have love and affection, and we can have nice times together. And we had a really nice time. My mother is still very difficult in the middle of all of this. Well, I was having lunch with my cousins, and we were quite close when we were growing up, and all my cousins are teachers. And one of them is a police officer, and he has a son who's high functioning autistic. And he was talking about him. And I just said, I think my mother's autistic. And they all went, yeah, she is. And you know what, Chip, in that second, my whole life made sense. My whole life made sense. It was like this, oh my God, my whole family, we've all treated her like she's just really difficult and she's autistic. So I took her grocery shopping to Tesco's, and it's always been this way. Things have to go in the cart very specifically. Like, the tomatoes cannot touch the laundry detergent. The water has to be in this corner, etc., etc. Then when you get to the conveyor belt, the same thing. They have to, it has to be exactly like this. And then there's a specific bag, like the bread can't go in the bag that's for the vegetables. And in the past, say I've taken her shopping and we've been in a hurry, we've been running late, and I've just been like, oh, I'll just, throw everything in. She can't cope with that. Just has a complete meltdown. And I look back and I think there's so many incidences where I'm like, oh, for God's sake, just do it, or just, and she can't, because she has autistic responses. Mm-hmm. And it's been really life-changing for me. And I kind of wonder, if we'd have known this years ago, how different our experience of each other would have been. And my mother doesn't know this. I've not told her. I'm not going to tell. I don't think she would get it or respond very well. But it's really helped me in my 20 plus years of sobriety. I've done so much work around this relationship, and it's the final. I'm so glad I figured this out when she's still alive. That I can, and I'm going, we're recording this just before Thanksgiving. I'm going to go home for 2 weeks, and I want to go and be with my mother with this understanding, because it's got in the way of so much. And that was absolutely life-changing for me. I'm sure.
Explains so much. I'm quite jealous, really, in a peculiar sort of way. I wish I could explain my parents' behaviour with some sort of diagnosis like that, but too late now, and I have no idea what was the matter with my mother. But Yeah, I don't think she was autistic, but I can see, as you said, life changing for you to discover that at this stage while she's still alive, and you can kind of be loving and understanding towards her rather than irritated by it. And I'm sure that's going to change that dynamic in a positive way. Yeah.
I'm so grateful. If I hadn't have got sober, and if I hadn't have embarked on all the personal development work I'd done, I can't imagine that I can't even imagine what our relationship would be like. It was so fractious and awful until I got sober and started changing. So I do feel a lot of gratitude for that. So
yeah, big moment.
So what about you? What has changed your life this year?
What's changed my life this year? I think my granddaughter had leukemia, or has got leukemia, and is in hospital recovering from it. She's responded extremely well to a bone marrow transplant. That was completely shook up my relationship with my daughter and my grandchildren in a good way. In a funny sort of way. She was absolutely unbelievable. And is
How old is she?
11.
Oh.
And, hair started falling out. She just cut all her hair off. And, she was amazing about it, and very, very inspiring about it. But that was a life change. And that whole, I think in a way, death has been a bit of a shadow this year. In the last 2 weeks, I've lost 2 friends within 4 days. Good friends, not just sort of past, oh, did you know him? Oh, yeah, he died. No, these were good friends who died within 4 days of each other. I think that's, and then at the beginning of the year, I also was in hospital with this prostate problem. I think I
remember you were really ill for a while.
Yeah, I was. No, I was ill. I was ill. And I think that sort of spectre of death has it's been present all year and has taken a bit of a shine off the year. It's difficult to kind of be super positive about that. Yes, I went into hospital and I got better, and it's got medication for it, blah, blah. But it still kind of just is another little reminder that, the sands of time are running out, and I don't need much it doesn't take much for me to dip into that one. So I think that has been important for me and made me, I think, really try and embrace the moment a little bit more than I think I do that to a pretty good extent anyway, but it's just made me that little bit more, let's make the most of this. Let's make my relationships with people as good as possible, So it's been a bit of a factor this year, and I guess probably, given my age, will be a factor going forwards. But I've had on the back of that, I also, I think probably since we did this podcast last year, I went to the Arctic Circle. I saw the Northern Lights.
That was a bucket list thing, wasn't it?
That was the very last thing on my bucket list that I wrote years and years ago. Thought it would never, ever happen. Went up there on my own, had an amazing time, saw the Northern Lights, going back again in 6 weeks' time to see them again. Well, maybe, I don't know, I might not, but I'm going back up to the Arctic Circle again in 6 weeks, and there was something about being up there. There's something about the atmosphere up there that I just love. I found I love a lot, even though it's unbelievably cold. And there's just something about that location. I don't know what it is. I'm going back to exactly the same place. And, I may not see them. I may see them even bigger and better, but I have seen them. And that was a beautiful moment.
It sounds like it's like a spiritual experience when you're so present in nature.
Yeah, it was spiritual, and there's something, and I like doing that on my own. And I'm obsessed, as you know, I'm a very keen photographer, so it's like photographic heaven, and so yeah. But I'm going back again in 6 weeks. I'm already getting very excited about that. And on that note, I won a photo competition. In fact, 2 of my photographs won a photo competition.
No, you never. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't mention it. You've won 2.
I won. I won. I entered the photo competition. I won in 2 categories. Yeah. So, I was absolutely thrilled about that. Yeah, I was really, really pleased about that. And it was a national competition, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and so that was really good. And I won. I would have won 200 quid, I think. But yeah, that was fantastic. One photograph I'm very proud of, and I thought it should have won previous competitions I've entered, but that's another story. But I did win 2, and that was really, really special for me. Really special.
We have to share it on Instagram.
I think I did post them on.
Yeah, but nobody follows you. You have like 10 followers.
No, I've come off Instagram.
You're not even on Instagram. You're a photographer. You're not on Instagram. That's ridiculous.
Well, it is. Yeah, I know. I'm off Instagram. I'm off. It was never.
Oh
on.
no, you're not. Chip Summers Therapy.
Oh yeah, that actually.
Which one is it?
There.
Which is it on there? Which
Might be.
Is it the purple one with the
bicycle?
Oh no, it's the one with the bicycle. I can't see the one with the bicycle.
No, it's not one. It's not. That's not the one that won. Anyway, don't. I mean, nobody else can see what you're looking at, but.
I know, but we could. Okay, you got to send it to me. I'll put it on my Instagram with this episode, so we can all admire.
Indeed. The work of a craftsman. Yes. Indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well done. I know that's really important to you. So it's really.
Yeah. No, that was
no
great.
more holes in one, though, right? No.
No, hardly played any golf this year at all. I mean, COVID stopped a lot of golf for 2 years, and then the few times I've been out, I played really badly. That's not been my go-to place. Photography is taking over. I can just feel that it's moving. I think maybe because of going up to the Arctic Circle, I've become much more involved in finding places to take photographs, and I think I get more pleasure from that in the end. But yeah.
Okay, so a few recovery, sobriety things that changed my. Obviously, the book coming out in January was just people reaching out and messages and people saying the book changed their life and it's the most helpful thing they've read and it's helped them get sober and all that kind of stuff. And then doing the book tour and meeting people, like especially because like it was like finally this year was like out of COVID and we could do stuff and doing Sans partnering with Sans Bar and doing some events with them. Actually, I'm doing 2 events with Sans Bar in January. I'm going to be in San Diego and Phoenix, Arizona. So if you guys, and I'll post it on my Instagram. So they're in January. So if you guys are near Phoenix or San Diego, please come out because it's just fun to go and do something in a safe place. I did my first. I went to the She Recovers event, which is the big organisation.
Oh yeah,
of women.
a lot of people did. Yeah,
yeah,
well, a few of them went. Yeah,
and that was in Miami, which was the first time. Like I think all of us had been around a big crowd of people for 2 years, and that was super fun. And I went to because it was in Miami. It was just too tempting for me to then not go down to Key West, which is where I used to live and where I got sober. So I went to, after many aborted attempts to try and get to Key West, because it's my spiritual home. I finally got down there after 20 years. And that was incredible. Just kind of, I left there, I was about 15 months sober. So I got to Key West at 19, figured out that's where the party was, did a lot of alcohol and drugs, brought to my knees at 27, got sober there, left there at a very tentative 15 months sober and haven't been back since. And it was great to go back and see the island and there was, lots of people there that I still knew and connect with them. So that was amazing, just doing that as well. Do you have any recovery, changing life things?
Recovery changing? No, I've carried on working. I have work's been good this year. I mean, I've got a nice little groove now of sort of 3 days a week in London, and that seems to be going well. I haven't. I saw a film about a therapist that Jonah Hill did called Stutz, Stutz. Or Z.
I've not heard of that.
I would highly recommend it if you're in therapy. And I just have such admiration for the way this therapist works, and he just has a really interesting way of doing things, and a way that in a way resonates with the way I work, and in a sort of, I wouldn't want to equate myself with him in any way, but that was really interesting, and I watched that 3 times. That's how much I.
It's got really good. Just googling it now. It's got really good reviews, and he's one of the leading psychiatrists.
Yeah, but it's just he's got the same sort of. He has that same sort of desire to really connect with somebody, not be a sort of just a face behind a desk. He's prepared to sort of self-disclose, and there was just really wonderful. Yeah, I thought it was. Yes, I've watched it 3 times. I thought it was great.
Oh, I'll watch it. I've never heard of it.
And I'll have to thank a client of mine in America for putting me onto that, because, really good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about movies that we've loved then. I have one that I just loved so much. It's now going to be in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I actually, with my movies and with my TV shows, I actually have quite an Irish theme from going to Dublin. I've never been to Ireland ever.
Okay.
Which Americans find that really shocking when you grow up in the UK and you don't just get on an hour flight to go to Ireland. I've never been to Ireland. So I went to Dublin with Louise because we had a book event there, and we met lots of our Irish people, and they were wonderful. And I just kind of thought, I'm so ignorant of Irish history. Like, I really don't know enough about this. So I've been on a bit of a tear since then, trying to educate myself and learn more. But I watched the movie Belfast, which I really, really liked.
Oh, yeah.
With directed by Kenneth Branagh, which is about a little boy's experience of growing up when the Troubles are breaking out. I just thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, it was.
So I really liked. Did you see it?
That was a great movie. Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah,
great movie. Great movie.
And done in black and white and really effective.
Yeah,
really, really effective. I really like that movie. I really like Coda, which won the Oscar for Best Movie, which is about the deaf family. I have to say, I really enjoyed Top Gun Maverick. It was a ton of fun. But the movie, for me that I loved more than anything was Elvis. I've seen it maybe 5 times. I loved it so much. I watched it with my husband, and what he said at the end, because I just think the actor Austin Butler has to win an Oscar. He was so good. Is that we'd forgotten what a phenomenon he was. Like, he wasn't just Elvis. Like, he was the world's first pop star.
Yeah.
And how and how controversial he was. Like, he, they were trying to pass laws to ban him, and his, how he embraced black music and black artists, and just I loved it. I mean, there was some flaws with that movie for sure, but the central performance was so incredible that I just can't stop watching it. I loved it. And I haven't stopped playing the soundtrack. The soundtrack is incredible as well. Did you see it?
That was good. No. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. I wouldn't see it again. I thought it was good, and I thought the Machiavellian side to Colonel Parker was slightly underplayed. No, I liked it. I haven't seen Coda. I'd like to.
You'll like Coda. It's really nice.
Yeah, I think it has a good feel to it. I had, I don't know whether it's doing them in America, but there's a series of films about different artists, and I saw one about Edward Hopper, who has been he's an American artist, I know, but I have been a great admirer of his work for years and years and years, and I realised that often, because he's always renowned for his sort of somewhat melancholic photographs, often of lonely men or women particularly, and kind of the sadness of his paintings, besides the beautiful light and colour and stuff like that. But the movie put a completely different slant on when he was talking about, you know, a picture that a lot of people have interpreted as being incredibly sad and melancholic, he just goes, no, that was just somebody looking out the window. You know, nothing, no great...
Nothing deep going on there
nothing
at all.
deep going on at all, just really nice light, somebody looking out the window, enjoying the view. And I think that was really interesting, how we've kind of historically have imposed these interpretations of paintings, which didn't, I mean, in some cases it did match, but in a lot of cases, some very famous pictures of sort of melancholy, just not what he wanted to get across at all. He just went, no, that was just somebody looking out the window. And so I think it's interesting that we do impose interpretations and meanings which we actually often guesswork. And we do that with poems, we do that with paintings, we do that with all sorts of things. We impose what we think, you know, I like the way Bob Dylan, you know, he just goes, he kind of goes, oh, shut up. You know, when people try and interpret great depth into his songs, and he just goes, you know, it is what it is. And he doesn't bother to kind of, so I like that. And it was that, I mean, I love Edward Hopper, and if I could take photographs like Edward Hopper paints, I'd be a very happy man. Yeah. So that was
Any
good for
other
me.
movies?
No, we've hardly been to the movies at all this year. Hardly been at all.
Well, when I go to the movies, I see we've sort of seen all the kids' Marvel.
Yeah, Heidi saw Top Gun. She went up with some friends to it.
Did she like it?
Yes, she loved it. It's a blot on her character, but you know, no, she did like it. Yeah, she liked it. Yeah.
It's so silly. It's not. It's just like how Tom Cruise is just the most charismatic movie star, and it's in many ways a silly plot, but just works because he's so utterly charismatic and brilliant. And I don't know, it just all the parts come together. It's fun. It's 2 hours of fun. It's not like gonna freaking change your life in terms of, but it was just, you know what, why it's on my list is it was just so. Sometimes I just want a movie that takes me away, and I just want to enjoy, you know, it's like I feel uplifted. It's kind of that kind of thing. So, just going back to Elvis, I saw Tom Hanks interviewed on a TV show, and he said that when he met Priscilla and Lisa Marie, he expected them to like absolutely, you know, just hate him and be really, negative. And they said they loved him. They loved him. He was like an uncle. They said there was the financial thing, and we had to just kind of sue him to get that sorted out. But they absolutely loved him. And
they love Colonel Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Wow.
Also, I mean, the just, and I think it's still happening. How, you know, Michael Jackson, George Michael, Prince, all had private doctors that basically killed them.
Yeah. No. In fact, I was talking to somebody I know who was in that world. And yeah, all those groups had private doctors who were on hand, on the payroll to write scripts for whatever they wanted.
And they're surrounded by people, including family members, who were all invested in that person getting on stage, recording the song.
Yeah.
And it's kind of really frightening and interesting, that whole dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm afraid certainly in this country there is a place not a million miles from where I work where, you know, if you pay enough money, you can get a doctor to give you anything you want. Yeah. Yeah. Shocking. Yeah.
Okay. TV shows. Have you seen The Bear?
I don't watch television. I haven't got television.
Oh, but you don't. The Bear was incredible. It was such a good show. It was about, and you know what was great about it? It was, it's set in Chicago. It's about a top chef whose brother commits suicide, and his brother runs the family like sandwich shop. So this really top chef who worked at, he worked at, it's like all the things. It's like food. He worked at the French Laundry, which is like meant to be the best restaurant in America. It's in Napa in California.
Yeah.
So he comes to work in this like
Grungy.
rundown, grungy, that's what I'm looking for. Rundown sandwich shop. And his brother commits suicide because he had a drug problem. And so he's dealing with his grief and he goes to Al-Anon. And I really liked it because it's typically the stories are the character goes to 12 AA meetings and he goes to Al-Anon. And it's about how the whole family, how everyone's dealing with the grief, but whilst also trying desperately to keep their business afloat. So it's a lot about cooking, and it's only little 30 minutes episodes, and it's funny. The acting is off the charts good. I mean, so good. The characters, it's. I think you'd really like it. It was probably, well, I have 5 down that are my favourite.
Oh, I did tell you what I did watch. I did watch The English.
Oh, that's on my list. Is that good?
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
What's it about?
It's about a woman who kind of gets, aristocratic English woman gets sold off to be married, and she's going to be basically killed for her money, and she gets saved by this American Indian who's worked for the cavalry, and it's a really it's a lovely, I loved it. Great. 6 episodes. Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah.
We like the British shows because they're 6 episodes, whereas in America it's 10 or 12, and sometimes like 6 is perfect. So the other show that I loved, and I was very late to this party because I watched all of them this year, is Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders is so good. So you've not seen Peaky Blinders?
I haven't. No.
Oh.
I have no desire to see Peaky Blinders.
So this is why I liked it. I mean, first of all, oh God, what Cillian Murphy? Oh my God, he's like mesmerizingly beautiful.
Yeah.
So I just thought the whole setup was really interesting because you never see stories of that period in between the 2 wars. So it's that period in between World War I and World War II. So it's all these
my time.
Young. Yeah.
No, World War One and 2. No. Okay,
yeah,
no.
It's not.
Yeah.
So it's all these young men coming back from the Great War, completely traumatized.
Yeah.
And it's set in Birmingham. And I actually have a special place in my heart for Birmingham because my grandparents lived there, and I actually love the accent. I know that's not.
My father's factory was in Birmingham.
Oh, was it Birmingham?
Yeah.
I've always loved the accent because of my grandparents, and I've always loved Birmingham. And so Birmingham is to England what like Pittsburgh is to America. It's not sexy. It's not cool. It's not like if you grow up there, you want to leave. But actually, it's got a culture, and so it's really interesting. And then, of course, it's all about the gangs, and it is a bit violent in places, but the acting's brilliant. And so we watched all they ended it this year, so it started maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
It's been a long run.
Yeah. My sci-fi was the 3rd season of War of the Worlds. Loved that. Also, the final season of The Walking Dead, which kind of jumped the shark many years ago and has been terrible, but I wanted to see what happened, and I loved the final episode of that. Bad Sisters. You didn't see Bad Sisters?
I mean, it takes so much for me to watch. We occasionally, Heidi and I will watch the film in bed, but we just don't watch. We haven't got television, and I'm actually really pleased I don't have television because I think I would spend too much time in front of it.
So this sounds like all I do is watch TV.
Well, it does, rather, yeah.
So this is a whole year. All we do, like once our kids are in bed, we have maybe 45 minutes to 60 minutes where we're still awake. And that's it. We watch a show, then we go to sleep. I read with my kids, so I do my reading with my kids. We all read together.
Right, good.
But Bad Sisters, so these are 2 Irish shows. Bad Sisters has Sharon Horgan, she's a fabulous comedian, and it's set in Ireland. And I have to say, the cinematography makes Ireland look completely gorgeous. And it's about these 5 Irish sisters, and one of them is married to this guy who's an absolute arsehole, who everybody hates. I mean, the actor who played him was brilliant because he's so loathsome. And the sisters try and kill him to kind of set their sister free. So it's a comedy drama, really well done.
Yeah.
And then I was watching this last night, is Derry Girls, which is the third season.
I know
final
Derry Girls,
season.
yeah.
Loved that show, which is just this really incredible blend. It's about set in the 90s in Londonderry, in Ireland, towards the end of the Troubles. And it's so normal for these girls to go to school and get their bus pulled over by the police and searched and bomb scares and all this kind of stuff. So it's really all about just being a teenage girl in the 90s, which I really related to. I really recognize a lot of the girls in it. And then it kind of hits you with just this reality of what it was like to grow up in the Troubles in Northern Ireland. So I love that show too. It's brilliant. So I don't think I'll just do the TV segment.
You do the TV stuff, yeah.
I think you would like The Bear. It's 30 minutes.
Yeah, I've written it down.
It's one of it's one of those shows that every single component is brilliant. The writing, the acting, the direction, the soundtrack, every single element is brilliant.
Okay.
Books.
I've read. I'm a great fan of Norman Mailer. I've reread The Executioner's Song, which I absolutely think is a masterpiece. I've just finished The Naked and the Dead. I think he's and I read the one called The Fight about Muhammad Ali. I like his style. I think you can only do so much of Norman Mailer before. I mean, he writes big tomes, and so. I read that, and I've also just read the new Cormac McCarthy called The Passenger, which, to be honest, I love Cormac McCarthy. I think he's a fantastic writer. I love the way he does. But this one felt a bit bitty. It felt like there were 3 really good books in it, but they kind of had been... It felt like, okay, started off, I thought, this is going to be a great book. The concept of this is amazing. And then it kind of morphed into another sort of thing that I thought, okay, the concept of this is amazing, and then it morphed into something else, but none of them seemed to blend together, and I was disappointed. But I like Cormac McCarthy. I mean, it's an enjoyable read. I got through it really quickly, but those were the 2 big ones for me this year. Yeah.
I love a big, meaty book. I love getting lost in a really big, meaty book. A non-fiction was a book that was written, I think it was written back in about 2006. It was called Undercover Disciple by Kevin Roose. And I kind of discovered, he's a writer. I discovered him somewhere, can't remember where. He wrote this book when he was a student at Brown University, which is a very liberal arts university. And he went for a year as an undercover student to Liberty University, which is the ultra evangelical Christian university that was started by Jerry Falwell. And it was really fascinating. It was really well done. He avoided ridiculing and so he made quite a few discoveries. And one of the things that was very interesting is he would have moments of internal outrage, oh my God, what are these? He had to do a whole class on creationism, led by a PhD scientist, and he passed it, and so they have very strict code of conduct rules, all this kind of thing. And he met a girl that he liked, and he said, I really, actually, really, really liked that we were not going to go and have sex. I really liked that we just went and had lunch and talked and went for walks. He said, just having that pressure off, he said, I was really, surprised at how much I enjoyed that. And also not drinking. He said, I've just got so much more done. I've got so much more energy. I've just, I'd typically be hungover every weekend. And, and he did offer some criticisms, but he was there during 2 really interesting times. He was there when there was a massive college shooting at, I think it was Virginia Tech, which is just down the road, which was I think that was quite a large number of people. So that happened when he was at Liberty. And also Jerry Falwell died right at the end. So that was the bit that really stood out for me, is that was the bit he got so enraged with, is, they did all this prayer for what happened at the shooting. And he's like, this isn't God's will. This isn't, part of the master plan of some kind, or like he just couldn't. And then kind of observing this massive cultural shift when their kind of big Christian leader died. But it was very insightful and very interesting and very well written.
Was it a one-off or a series?
No, he just wrote it. I mean, he's probably in his late 30s now. So he wrote it when he was about 21, 22. And actually...
What's he called?
Undercover Disciple.
Okay.
And he talks about, so one of the things he has to do is go on mission. So during like their...
Yeah, I know what a mission is, yeah.
Yeah, they have to go, so like he goes to like South Florida, which is like the massive party zone during spring break in America. Yeah. And like they're trying to find, they just kind of go up to people and go, you're going to go to hell and it's really awful and you need to find Jesus. I mean, it's like not an effective sales strategy, I have to say.
But they do get people. I mean, people always think because I'm an atheist, I don't know anything about religions, but I know a lot about that whole, particularly the Jehovah's Witness missions that they have to go on. And also the Mormons it's all part of, which is very strong in the Mormon influence, and Utah plays a big part in the Executioner's Song, because the murders take place in Utah, and that whole kind of how they control Utah comes across very strongly in that.
Well, I think you'd find this book interesting. It's really a fascinating insight into that university, and also it's not, a lot of the kids there were questioning. They wanted to go to Liberty University. They wanted a Christian environment, but they're not all of them a sheep. A lot of them were questioning. We're not sure. And then afterward, he made genuine friends. He said it got harder and harder because he really did have genuine friends with people he really liked. He discovered he actually liked people praying for him. He liked taking a few minutes to do that.
Yeah. I mean, one of my longest golf partners and great friend was a Christian. And we'd have some interesting discussions. But he was my golf partner before he moved away. But he was a very devout Christian, and held beliefs I couldn't get my head around at all. But didn't stop us being good friends, and it's good.
Yeah, so I've found that fascinating. And then I've reread a book series that I love. There's several book series that I love that I reread about every 10 years when I've kind of forgotten as much as I can. And because there's a new, there's the sixth book in the series coming out next year, and I wanted to reread it because I wanted to fall in love with it again. This won't be your thing. The series is called Red Rising, and it's set like 1,000 years in the future when it's like space Vikings. Oh. And it's all to do with, it's very epic in scale, in scope. And it's kind of, it's political. It's not just like people firing lasers at each other. It's very political. It's about, what the whole premise is that society has been organized into a caste system. And so everyone is genetically engineered to love being the janitor or the teacher or the doctor or the whatever. And it's about someone at the bottom of the pile tries to break that system. So I reread that series because I loved it. And that took about 5 months. And I'm looking forward to the next one coming out next week. And then I don't know, I read a bunch of other... I read a lot. I can read a book a week. Yeah, I read a lot, But I read slowly. Can't think what else stood out for me. Yeah. Apart from those things.
No, I reread 1984, but I think that came up last year, but I reread that, and it's amazing how prescient that is, and how actually everything that he writes about before it was even a thing has come true.
And if you think as well, like we were pre-digital then as well.
Yeah, I know.
Like we didn't really.
I know.
Yeah,
it's incredible the stuff that he writes about before. Yeah. Even the biro was invented. He kind of has it all down. Television's in every room. Big Brother watching you. It's just so many things about photoshopping photographs and things like that. It's incredible.
I have a whole list of books. My son, who's 11, is an advanced reader. He's reading at like a 7th grade level, and he's read all of the Harry Potter. He devours books, and I have a whole list of books that I want to read with him, and that's on there. I don't think we're quite, maybe a couple more years.
Yeah.
I want to read that with him. Like, not like he'll read it and we'll just read it separately, but so we can discuss it. The Handmaid's
Animal
Tale.
Farm would be a good place to start.
Yeah. He
Animal
might be
Farm.
ready for that.
Yeah. Animal Farm is very much same sort of thing, same sort of political message, but in a much more palatable way to a young child.
Yeah. Maybe we're ready for that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have a whole list of books that I can't wait to kind of read and discuss with him.
Yeah.
So, anything else before we get to what we're having for Christmas dinner? Anything else? No.
I'm pretty good. I think I've had a good year. I've had a good year.
Yeah.
God, if I'm alive at the end of the year, I've had a good year.
we passed 200 episodes. We've had well over 1 million downloads now.
That was good.
A huge thing.
That was a great achievement. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
And thanks to everybody for supporting the podcast.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
appreciate it so much, and that you recommend it and share it with people. And if you have a moment, please just give us a quick rating on whatever platform that you listen to. That always helps. Be very grateful. Yeah. So you don't do Christmas. I do Christmas. We do full on Christmas. We have crackers. I ordered my stuff in October. I have everything. You do anti-Christmas. So what are you having for nothing? And you purposely don't have any food that's Christmassy. You have an anti-Christmas dinner.
Well,
Christmas dinner.
We might have pushed it a little bit too far this year in terms of moving towards a Christmas meal. We are having a sausage roll.
I love a good sausage roll.
Sausage roll, which does
from Greg's.
Does lend it. What?
From Greg's, or are you making it yourself?
No. We've got a friend who makes very nice sausage rolls. But then we're having one sausage roll, and that will be it. Yeah, that's it. That'll be our Christmas.
Fantastic. So in New York, there's a fairly large Jewish community, and what they do on Christmas Day traditionally is go out for Chinese food. So you could have a big meal, but you could do Indian or Chinese or
yeah, you could do.
But sausage roll sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you.
Whatever you do through December, whether you celebrate or not, we just wish you peace and happiness and a sober time, because whatever you do this season, being sober is always going to make it better. And we will be back next year with more topics, more guests. We love your suggestions and your recommendations, and we appreciate you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed for listening throughout the year and sticking with us. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.